senior captains Scott Woolf, Tony Tarantino, and John Heather. Over 40 years from the 1985 season to the 2024 season, the Purple Raiders orchestrated a remarkable overall record of 494 wins, 35 losses, and 3 ties, with historic success including 35 OAC Championships, 35 NCAA Playoff appearances, and 13 national championships. Please join us in giving a round of applause to the team that started it all, ladies and gentlemen, the 1985 Mount Union Purple Raider football team.
Mount Union, meanwhile, undefeated overall and in the conference, and the Purple Raiders are looking for their first Ohio Conference football championship in their history. And here come the Mount Union Purple Raiders, and this is a fired-up campus, I want to tell you that. And coming into this one against Baldwin Wallace. They haven't beat the Yellow Jackets since 1949. The series record is 18-5 in favor of the Yellow Jackets. Let's take a look at that Mount Union offensive starting lineup. First, the quarterback and the man that Baldwin Wallace is going to have to contain to be successful, Scott Woolf, who's a senior from Beloit West Branch. The backfield looks like this. The fullback is 33, Tony Tarantino, a senior from East Lake St. Joseph. Halfback, Miles Jackson, number 35. He's a junior from Cleveland Benedictine. Scott Wolf's favorite targets, number 86, Bill Iyer at one wide receiver spot. And at the other is number 21, Vince Body, who's a junior from Cleveland Benedictine. The tight end, 88, Jeff Erskine, who's a junior from Mentor. And now the offensive line for the Purple Raiders. The center is Mark Berry. He is a senior from Fairview Park, went to St. Ed's High School. The guards are senior 67, Doug Hoff from Johnstown Monroe, and 63, Jeff Woods, a senior from Willoughby South. The tackles, at left tackle is Mike Groff, number 71, a junior from Dalton Tuslaw. And at the other tackle is 68, Dave Kowalski, who is a junior from Aurora. That sets the Purple Raiders on offense. Taking a look at them quickly on defense, they line up this way. On the line at left end is 66, Jeff Mayfield, who's a senior from Canal Fulton. The left tackle is 77, John Heather, a senior from Navarre Fairless High School. The right tackle is 58, Mike Jarrett, a junior from Smithville. Right end is number 97, Roger Miller, who's a senior from Kingsville. The linebackers, left outside, 44, Chris Weber, a junior from Stowe. Right outside is Pat Brandon, 56, a junior from East Cleveland. Left inside linebacker, 57, Carl Wagner, a senior from Garfield Heights. Right inside linebacker is 34, Dan Petcavage, a junior from Massillon Tuslaw. And then the defensive backfield, left cornerback, 38, Greg Flasco, a junior from Stowe. Right cornerback, Neil Kime, number 22, a senior from Lakewood. And the free safety, number 42, Vic Harris, a junior from Cleveland Rhodes High School.
Split 15 to the right, Iyer slotted right. Scott Woolf firing into the end zone. Billy Iyer for the touchdown. Had his man beat by a couple of steps, and Scott Woolf laid it right in there for the first score of the ball game. It comes with 12:04 remaining first quarter. Look at it again, Harry.
Well, Scott Woolf just dropped straight back. Iyer just right across the middle, does beat his man, and look, you get a great view of the football. Touchdown, nobody really close to him. Iyer made the play, and Woolf laid it right into him.
Here at Mount Union Stadium, 9 minutes, 30 seconds remaining third quarter. Body will split to the left side. Iyer slotted left side. 2 running backs behind Scott Woolf. Woolf rambling. Woolf under pressure. Woolf into the end zone for the touchdown. Jeff Erskine on the receiving end. And that is a big score for Mount Union. It comes with 9:09 remaining in the third quarter. And the Purple Raiders lead 13-3.
Woolf again rolling right. They're not sure. Is he going to run the ball or is he going to throw the ball? He has a notion to run again, but now he finds Erskine, fires a bullet, a great camera angle there as Erskine pulls in the pass for the touchdown and gives the Purple Raiders a 10-point lead. It'll be Jim Collins trying to make it 11.
Ball is down, kick is in the air, and the kick is good.
So Scott Woolf, what do you remember about the 1985 team?
Well, we had a lot of guys that were pulled from different, backgrounds, and I think the one thing I learned most and that would help us be successful was that we became a team, you know, during the '85 season, and we didn't have a lot of flashy guys, but we had a lot of guys that you weren't going to tell them no, they can't do something. And they all came together. You know, they came from different fraternities, and guys like myself, I lived off campus, and we had some kids from the inner city schools, and it was a real mix back then. And the field was grass muddy field, and so we just played hard. And I give Coach Wable a lot of credit, and Coach Larry Karras was our coach in '84. He took a year off to be the athletic director in '85, but all the coaches and all the staff, we really had a tool, and the community started coming out too. Mount Union didn't have many fans, but they started coming to the games, and it was a total turnaround in my opinion. You know, obviously they've done great things since then, but we really didn't know at the time we were going to be the first undefeated team or whatever, but it came out well. Guys did, and we went up to Augustana and got beat by the eventual national champions. But other than that, I just remember that we just never quit, and it's a testament to the guys, all my teammates. So we had a lot of fun.
So what's it mean to be the foundation of the success? I mean, unbelievable success since then. We'll be the first team, you know, first undefeated, first conference, first time making the playoffs. Now they're winning championships.
Yeah, that, you know, I look upon. It doesn't come up very often because of my daily life. I don't run across too many, but when I do, I tend to not to tell the stories. But it means a lot. You know, we take great pride in it. You know, and like I said, the facilities are amazing now. But we used to have old Memorial Hall, was the old gymnasium, and down in the locker room, but we called it the dungeon, was our locker room. We had to run over 23rd Street for practice. We had to cross State Street every day, you know, and that was a challenge. But it means a lot, you know, but give credit to these guys nowadays. They just took it to the next level. Oh, yeah, Coach Wable was great. You know, he's old school, and he's an old Woody Hayes pupil, and Coach Karras, he was more of a Bill Walsh pupil. And as you can see, they changed their offense a little bit drastically over the years, but no, he was a good coach. He was old school, very demanding, and you know, he kept the team together, and God bless him, you know, he passed away a few years back, but yeah, he was a challenge at times, but we loved him, and he did a great job.
One thing you can take from that year, the 1985 season, what would it be?
Oh, I think just the character building of a team. The guys, you know, every day you're with the team and you're with your guys, and all of a sudden you're not one day. And that bond that you build, you know, it's hard to replace that. But, you know, I think just overall, the never die attitude. That's, like I said, our guys, some of them were 5'6", 5'7", and 5'8". They're little guys playing up against guys that are 6'3", 6'4", 280, and, you know, just that overall attitude of team spirit and never quit.
You know, to what you guys did to get that first one, what's your advice to these guys now?
Well, the younger guys, I would just say keep being persistent. You know, that's one thing about Coach Karras that built a program like he has. There's no word for mediocrity. There's no place for it, and excellence doesn't come out just overnight. It doesn't happen. And Coach Karras, you know, he demanded it, and you get what you demand. And if you don't, as you can see, they got about 120 or 140 guys on the team. Well, if one of them screws up, the next guy's right in. But it means a lot. But obviously, we just did a little part here. But you know, but these guys, give them all the credit in the world what they've done. Coach Karras, Vince, and then Coach Dart, and all the staff and support staff. It's amazing.
Trying to do here.
23-yard pickup that time. Draw play. Tarantino running room 40, 35. First down to the 30 to the 27-yard line of Baldwin Wallace. This is unusual. Baldwin Wallace with the top-ranked defense in the conference. They're only giving up a grand total of 183 yards per contest. But you have, as we mentioned again in our pregame, Harry, the classic confrontation between the strong offense and that number 33, that man right there, one of the reasons for the strong offensive showing of Mount Union versus the superb defense of Baldwin Wallace.
When you think of the 1985 team, what comes to mind?
Oh my gosh, especially looking around this place, dirt, mud, wet weather, grass field, square goalpost. I mean, we're 1985 to 2025, just the evolution of the whole Mount Union football program. It's just phenomenal. And then to have the privilege and honor to be a part of the beginning, and that's what it was all about, just being part of the beginning, laying the foundation, and so it's been a great, it brings tears to my eyes being in this situation and looking around and saying, God, we had a part of the beginning of this, and they played football here at Mount Union for a long time. Coach Wable, legendary. He's a man that taught the best coach in the world, Larry Karras. He taught him and us, and we had an opportunity to play for him. So that was another phenomenal tribute, opportunity, and just foundation that was laid here at Mount Union College in our day.
What made the '85 team special to lay that foundation for the future success? You know what?
We came together as a unit. We were all crazy, and it was a different era. And there was 895 kids on this campus, I think, back in 1985. So we came together, and the success happened in 1985. But the 1984 team and the '83 team, we couldn't get over Baldwin Wallace. Mount Union couldn't get over Baldwin Wallace. Well, we did it in '85. '84 we should have. We outplayed them. We statistically beat them, but you know what? We didn't learn how to win yet. So the next year, going undefeated and listening to the accomplishments that the team had, it's kind of phenomenal. I didn't put that much perspective on it, but now it's expected. The culture's been changed. You come to Mount Union, like they said, you expect to win national championships. And so the character of that team, just being crazy and fitting in with each other. John Heather, the other tri-captain, in '84 he had broke his foot doing laundry, coming back from practice because we practiced on the back field over there. So he had broke his foot. He was done for the year in preseason. So you know what? That we were talking about, we were one key away from beating Baldwin Wallace in '84. And we looked around and go, that man right there. I mean, he was just a beast. He was the best defensive tackle in the OAC for probably still ever. So we had characters. Scott Woolf, another character. A guy that just loved football, very good, very laid back, and we had fun. And we went out there and we had fun. So that was just, and that just sets it, and that's how you win. It's got to be chemistry. But '83, '84, '85, until we got that hump, Ken Wable's end of his career, coaching career, that was his biggest thing.
When that clock hit zero and you guys finally beat Baldwin Wallace, at least get to share the title and then beat Muskingum to get it outright. But do you remember that feeling vividly?
Oh yeah, it was unbelievable. It was, no, you know what? You don't understand the gravity of what you just accomplished.
Right.
So at that particular moment, I had won a tough, hard-fought football game. We finally beat them and everything, and then you grow up and you learn the relevance of what just happened there, and all the people that had you on their back and they're on their back. When you put all that together and find out what it actually meant, and as a young kid, you don't a lot of times appreciate what everything means until you grow up and understand and appreciate that type of scenario. Ken Wable was Ken Wable.
Yeah.
You know what? He threw me out of his class my senior year because I missed the first 3 days, and that was one of his golden rules. And no favoritism, no nothing. You played, you learned how to become a man. Accept responsibility, accept accountability, responsible and accountable for everything you do. And that's what Ken Wable drilled into you, and his coaching staff, But that's why he was legendary. He knew how to motivate. He knew how to do the simple things. He was a great statistician and coach on the field, and then again, he evolved Mount Union football also because we used to run, when I started here, we were running the I, power I with, Dave McLaughlin, another great running back here, we were running the power I, him and Karras. Would have been like 83 season. I believe they went down to the Browns, studied with the Browns, come back with a spread offense. Scott Woolf got here, opened up a spread offense, opened it up again. And again, we just started building, to where, you're at. It's awesome. It's hard to imagine. So I'm grateful for today.
This program, 36 OAC Championships now.
I know.
9 straight. But what's your advice to these players? Obviously, standard is a standard. I mean, I feel like it's lifted every year, but you guys set that foundation. But what's your advice to kind of enjoy every moment going forward?
You know what? This is a huge program today. They have, and my son played here for a year till he got a concussion, and he said, I'm going to go, anyways, they just have to compete every single day at every single time. Don't do anything without a purpose. You got to have a purpose, whether you're walking on the field or whatever you're doing, have that purpose go out. And these kids have to compete against great talent every single day. So you know what? Keep competing, because one of, I think, our biggest issues in life is we expect our kids to win, and when they don't win, we give them excuses. Teach them to compete. You know what? It's all about competing. Parents, stay out of it. Compete.
When you hear the words Mount Union, what do you think of? What do you feel?
What's the first thing I think of? Larry Karras. I mean, legendary Larry Karras. I was fortunate enough to officiate in the Ohio Athletic Conference in the OAC for about 15 years. So I saw Larry Karras on the sideline and how he operated. And I saw Ken Wable still up in the box, by the way, there. And that's why I appreciate the mentorship that those two have and how Wable was so imperative. But I watch, and Larry Karras, like I said, the greatest coach, he coached his coaches. Right. He expected things out of his players, and he expected his coaches to hold them to that standard, so he coached to his coaches. So that's how you build championships, and that's how the standard is built, and that's how it's maintained, is you have to compete every single day.
Possession for Baldwin Wallace. That's Bryson. He is being wrapped up by big number 77. John Heather had quite a game last week against Wittenberg, and he continues right where he left off. It'll go as a 2-yard loss and set up 2nd and 12.
All right, John Heather, when you think about that 1985 team, what comes to your mind?
Some guys that just kind of decided to play some football and have fun. Yeah, it was, the years previous before that, the years I played earlier, we had some really good football players. We had some guys that were legit, really good football players, but unfortunately we couldn't get the job done. And then after like 3 years, that freshman class that I came in with, which I actually broke my ankle in '84 and wasn't able to play the season, so I came back in '85. And Tony and I and Scott and there was a guy by the name of Jeff Pescick. We were all previous. We should have graduated the year before, but we all had injuries, sat out the year, came back for the half year and played that '85 season. And basically because we knew who we were going to play with, and we thought we could win a championship. We thought we could beat Baldwin Wallace. And actually we went on a trip to watch Baldwin Wallace play Augustana at the time in the Stag Bowl, or it was a playoff game or something like that. And on the way home, there was a carload of us on the way home, and we decided that I was sitting in the back seat, and I made the comment that, I think we could beat Baldwin Wallace. I said, I think we can beat those guys. And the guys in the car were like, yeah, I think we could beat BW. And I said, I think we could beat Augustana. So we kind of, at that point, just kind of said, you know what, let's stop talking about Baldwin Wallace. And Coach Dart came in this morning and talked to us about, how he preaches to those guys that what the expectation was. And I think at this point now, back then for us, it was, we played 4 years, lose 1 point, 2 point games to Baldwin Wallace. We kind of just finally said, let's put an end to this, and made up our mind to do that. I was looking at the schedule, kind of reminiscing some things, trying to come up with some things to talk about, and there were some close games in there. I mean, the 10-0 season. There were games that Adrian, Michigan was actually beating us here about the middle of the season, and that's you start off 3-0, that fourth and fifth game's pretty important, you know, so, and they're up. It's 16-14 with probably a minute something to go. And Scott Woolf and the offense, Tarantino and the boys up front and the receivers, they decided that we're not going to lose. You know, I remember coming off the field defensively and thinking, you know, looking at the clock, we don't got much time, you know, to do this. And I sat there and watched them take the ball all the way down the field. And I think at that point, that was hey, we can do this. We can make sure that we get this done. So that was a critical point for us, I think, in '85. But actually, it all started years before when we were young, and we were just kind of, you know, when you get here, everybody tells you you're, you know, in with a lot of others, you know, and then at that point you have to do some things to try to get yourself up into that position. And it seemed like we had a lot of guys that wanted to do that, and they weren't, like I say, big-time players from big-time places. They were just guys who just wanted to keep playing football and get an education and beautiful campus. I mean, there was a lot of things right at the time. So pretty fortunate to be here during that time.
What does it mean to you to be part of that foundation, laying it down for the future?
You know, then, no idea. You know, we just playing football, whatever. But now, events like this, I think we were here 20, 25 years ago, talking to these guys, you know, being around them. Yeah, it's a great feeling. Great feeling.
What was it like to play with Hall of Fame Coach Ken Wable?
Coach Wable was actually my position coach when I came in my freshman year. And I was one of those guys who, you know, kind of come in and turn over the apple cart and, you know, cause problems. So Coach had to kind of let me know that, you know, being the man that he was, which was a stern, disciplined, you know, person, he basically got me heading in the right direction. And, you know, love Coach Wable. Coach Wable was a good guy. Good guy.
What's your advice to them, you know, enjoying their success that they're having now?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got to like what you're doing. You know, if you don't like what you're doing, there ain't no sense of doing it anymore at that point. But you got to like what you're doing, and you got an opportunity to come do this on Saturdays, and, you know, and be in front of a group of people that are liking what you're doing. I mean, it's so much fun. And the thing is, eventually, as time goes, you know, you start to move more into life, and you just kind of redirect everything. You know, you're still basically doing the same thing. You're not playing, but you're still living life, and you know how important it is to get along with people and work together with people. And I think that's a special thing that any sports or athletics teach. And again, when you're standing over there, you know, you think you're going to go, well, maybe the USFL might pick me up, or I might go NFL, or, you know, it's like, really? Yeah. I mean, you know, come on, just keep playing and let things happen where they're happening.
What has Mount Union done for you, you know, going forward, you know, as you're becoming a man in your career now and looking back now, what has it meant to you?
Yes. Stumbled in here over McCready Hall, not really knowing much about anything. Rough first go. Coach Karras was my advisor, and he was able to help out with just everything in general. You know, his question was, what exactly you think, you know, you want to do here? And at the time, I was like, well, I don't know. He said, have you thought about coaching, or, you know, something along those lines, physical education teacher, or, you know, something? And I was like, well, that sounds like a great idea. So I guess my point is, I came in not really knowing, but was directed by another good, stern part. I mean, you know, there's a pattern here. I mean, of guys that cared about adult males that were looking for their future, and that between those guys, and I mean, I spent 4 years here, got my degree here. I remained in town coaching at a local high school and teaching at a local high school. Met my wife here. Alliance, Mount Union. My wife Danielle, also a Mount Union grad. Our daughter just graduated from Mount Union. Good place, and a lot of good times.
Down to 10 seconds remaining, fourth quarter. The countdown is on. Powell with the boots. Flag, no flag on the play as Dave Miller signals for the fair catch. No time remaining, and that will do it. Pandemonium reigning supreme in Alliance, Ohio, as the Mont Union Purple Raiders, for the first time in the school's history, have a shot at the Ohio Athletic Conference crown. There you see the final. Mount Union 14, Baldwin Wallace 3.